it would be very important for teachers or general educators to understand more about deaf culture and the role that deaf culture plays in a deaf student's life. Now, it's very important for a deaf student, I would say it's crucial for a deaf student to have socialization with other deaf students. Many times in public school situations, a deaf student may feel very isolated because there's no other deaf student there. So if you can understand the importance of that in terms of increasing a deaf student's self-esteem, identity is very, very important, particularly with children who are in middle school and high school, because they need to know that they are part of a certain group. And if you remember back to your middle school and high school days, your peer group was very important to you. So are there opportunities for you to maybe even collaborate with or with the teacher of the deaf, who might know other students who are deaf, so maybe have some after-school club for deaf students? Or the teacher of the deaf can help you with this. Are there any adult deaf individuals in the community that the child could start interacting with? And there's certain special events, like different areas have regional resource centers for the deaf or different associations for the deaf. I know they are in fairly large cities, but they will have like picnics, get-togethers, social events. Sometimes they'll have silent dinners when they'll go out to a restaurant all together. I think it would be very important for you to help the deaf student have access to those kind of social events, because the lack of hearing really creates a great deal of social isolation, and that can lead to a lot of other negative self-images. So I think that if you understand the role of social interaction amongst deaf people.
At our school, we have Deaf Awareness Week, and during that time, on the announcements in the morning, we share deaf facts, and then we also do it, when the deaf students come into the resource classroom. We have opportunities for deaf adults to come and do some storytelling. We really want to even do more of that next year. We have, Deaf Field Day, where the deaf students from this county and all the surrounding counties, Wake Forest University is kind enough to let us use their soccer facility, and all the deaf kids from signers to cuers to the auditory oral come together, and we have this day of having races, and they have different age groups set up, and it's a great way for the kids to see that there are other deaf people. So there's just opportunity that we try to get the information home, so that parents, can let their child be involved in what goes on in the community. It's interesting because the kids' eyes will just light up when, they know that somebody else knows sign language. But it's also good for them to see that, some kids wear hearing aids, some kids, you use cued speech, and some kids can learn to talk. And we do try to find books and show them about deaf people who are famous, or deaf people that have played athletic sports, that they can do it, and just talk to them about you can't give up. And that's what I tell them. You never, never, never can give up.
I think to put oneself in the position of not having access to information, you can understand how deaf people want to be included. They have a very rich culture, a very bonded culture, and we who are hearing sometimes don't necessarily understand that. But I think in order to value someone as an individual and to give them access to communication so they can become part of larger society and have the same educational and professional and employment opportunities as everyone else.